Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we're watching some top of the line, best of the best pros face off on one of those timeless maps. It's none other than Bismuth Valley, and today, spawning as our blue Cortex commander right up here on the northern side, it's gonna be none other than Lord Fivehead, aka by another alias also known as Dot, and gonna be showing us what they've got here as the blue Core Commander, and it rhymes, so you know it must be true. Spawning on the other side, sort of in the midsection here, and kind of, I guess I would almost call this a flex position. There's a lot of interesting things that you can go for here. It's going to be Nazah, the red team leader, spawning as an Armada Commander and going into some of those very nice Armada wind turbines. Now, when I say flex position, the reason I say that is because you sort of have this weird blockade. Yeah, like a terrain impasse here where you kind of have to make a decision. You can either push in through this section. In fact, let me get a bit of a higher angle here. So you can basically push, you know, you kind of expand forward here, and then you can either push out into this section or out into this section, or you can just kind of hunker down, block off each of these areas, and then you can use this as kind of a central base. You can build static defenses up here, and then you can use those to shell away at the midsection, which can sometimes be quite nice. Otherwise, you can just go into weird things like maybe an air lab in here. It wouldn't be uncommon to see an air lab come up in here. You send 2 or 3 bombers across the map, maybe take out the mexes of your opponent here, and then try and spread them out to take out the mexes up on this top side and then down on this side. You can see how those kind of go out in a Y shape there to hit all the different areas, and then you kind of bring them back towards the middle, and then you've effectively bombed the entire team. Now, what the decision will be here from Nazah, I'm not entirely sure, but the fact that we're going Armada tells me that we're probably not thinking about going for air, because if we're going for air, we're probably going to go core, and we're probably going to get some of those whirlwinds out, and then of course the shuriken are very nice as well for denying a lot of those run-bys and those early harassments. It's not impossible that we go for air, and the Armada Stormbringers have been buffed recently, but it looks like Nazah is a little bit interested in a ground fight. So going to be supporting one of these lanes, either the lane here of Aquia or the lane of the Tan Commander here, Frugis, trying to help them bust through their opposition. Now, it looks like we do have an air start here for Hamoud Loves You, the Green Commander, the Green Cortex Commander here, who is going to start reclaiming that laboratory now that we have a light transport out and running. I think we need a medium transport. Ooh, yeah, Commander cannot be picked up by the light transport anymore. You need the heavy transport, the Hephaestus, which is a, heavy transport can pick up slightly heavier loads, including the Commander, but it moves incredibly slowly. So I'm very curious what the play is here from the Green Commander. Oh, we are going to go into bots. Okay, Not the end of the world. It's definitely viable. If you go for bots and you have the transport, it means, of course, that you can go ahead and drop your stuff around all over the place here. We also did pump out some shuriken, which is quite nice. They'll be very useful, for instance, for shutting down a whole bunch of these run-by forces that have been sent across here by the Red Commander. So now Sentient Waffle is going to have to deal with a bunch of this. Yeah, but we do have the shuriken in place, so as long as, despite there being a lot of stuff out here on the field, as long as the shurikens are in position to EMP them, and then they can be run by a whole bunch of these lighter units, I think things are going to be alright. We need to get those pawns more than anything. Those are the biggest threats here. The thing is, pawns can technically shoot up. They can shoot upwards here at the shuriken. Very difficult to micro those shuriken to hit the pawns specifically, but all said and done, I would say that this has probably been an overwhelmingly successful defense right now for the blue team. The Green Commanders, especially on the blue team. Yeah, the forces are repelled. Those pawns are forced to retreat backwards here as Nazah does, okay, eventually get into an air lab. Well, I've been proven wrong here. The Red Commander apparently looking to get into some of that good old-fashioned Armada T1 air. And I wonder what we're going to queue up right here. Gunships can be a valuable force, especially on the northern and southern sides where it takes a little longer for air forces to reach. Getting a couple of those gunships out in order to chase down some of those metal extractors, try and harass down the economy here. It can be a small but compounding advantage that you lend your teammates here. As you can see, like for instance, the Blue Commander has built a forward laboratory, but that of course means that everything in the back right here will be exposed should a bomber or a gunship or anything like that break through. There's not really a lot you can do to defend against it. You'd have to send units essentially as far back as you would to send them to the front lines. Nice kill right there in the middle extractor, denying that from Rage. Certainly upset about it. The Yellow Commander stepping forward right here. Going to be rebuilt at that 2.8 metal extractor spot. Too valuable to ignore, as we do have a constructor in a plane. Oh no, it's not a constructor, it's a thug in a plane. Okay. I guess this will be the static defense up on the hillside here. Yeah, okay. I mean, sure. We're just gonna drop the units up on top of that hillside and then use them to shoot down at the units running by from on high. It can work. It can definitely work. And I mean, the fact that they're up high right like this means that they can fire quite a bit further than normally they would be able to. Inebriated Yoda. Moving the units into position. Yeah, nice detection right here, and recognizing that those units are headed on over in that direction, and going to, at the end of the day, be able to actually get those units into position to defend again. And once more, Nazaz's early unit rush has kind of been faltered. It's not the end of the world, of course. These units will eventually find their value, or they should anyways, but I think these were meant to do a lot more damage than they inevitably, or they eventually did, so Hamut Loves You has got to be in a pretty good spot here. We do have more and more units being picked up right now, and we do have that T1 bot lab now, as well as some build power in the backline, which is quite nice. But I like this strategy here where, yeah, Hamut is just going to go ahead and feed the Lime Green Commander, Sentient Waffle, both of them co-oping this Geothermal, and then immediately into, well, not immediately, but almost immediately next into a T2 Laboratory. So basically the strategy here is a T2 rush from the blue team. Now on the southern side, it looks like we have, or northern side, pardon me, it looks like we have had a commander death. The yellow commander overstepping a little bit here as the forces have already been masterfully built up, and now Dot is going to be pushing forward with a bunch of pressure as Bacon Dude helps with the repairs and the LLTs start to push forward. Gamer Guy 69 in a pretty not very nice situation. Nice D-gun right there, wiping off that metal because, well, it's the best you can do is to at least deny it to the enemy team, but that doesn't deal with the gigantic army that is now standing right outside your door here in the form of a bunch of aggravators and rocketeers. And at this point, I honestly wouldn't even mind seeing these handed over to one commander. Just letting one comm handle all the offense while the other one just reclaims and macros and builds a bunch of metal extractors. We could, yep, go into T2 already. My goodness, we are 7 minutes into this game and we are already into T2 on the front lines right here. We have a transport. Whoa, dropping a thug over here. Very cheeky. Scion Commander does go down, by the way, harassed to death by those missile trucks. But yeah, look at that. How annoying is that? We have a whole bunch of, well, we have a single thug up on the high ground here, but firing away into the distance and doing a ton of damage. It's going to snipe metal extractors. It's going to fire at LLTs. Because it's up on high like this, again, it has so much range. It really can't be contested. That is so funny. LLT going to be the answer here from Nazar to clear that away. The thug is trying his very best, but he can't really deal with that. Find some safety over here in the corner, though. And now, yeah, I can fire away from out of range here at the LLT. Isn't that a trip? T2 Laboratory just moments away from completion here. 98, 99, and done. T2 Laboratory is finally up and running, and we're going to start up Banishers immediately. All right. It's been a popular strategy as of late, seeing the Banishers come out here. Frankly, I'm a little bit... I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence as to whether it's the most efficient play for Cortex. One thing to the Banishers' credit is, of course, that they are... very, very effective throughout the entirety of the mid-game. Things like Quakers can get overrun as more and more T2 units come out, as faster and faster units come out. They're easier to get out on the field, so you can get more value with them initially, but they do fall off eventually. The Banishers don't really have that same issue. They kind of persist for basically the entire mid-game and don't really lose very much value. Frugis is on the front with the units in order to try and hold on this. The commander wants a juicy D-gun, or at least to explode in the middle of all of this. We need a cloak to get close enough. Those thugs are gunning for the kill. Yeah, they smell blood in the water. And boom goes the Tan commander down on the southern side with absolutely zero losses, or very minimal losses at the very least, for Inebriated Yoda, who continues the push right here. All right. Banisher is now firing away, and those missile trucks are forced to scatter. Hopefully we see some splitties here, because if these are all kept in a big bundle, that Banisher is going to get immense value. Doesn't take much for a Banisher to find value. Every single time that it fires, more or less, it's going to connect in some shape, way, or form. And that really is all it takes here. This fortified position up here is quite nice for buttons 840. But then again, the metal extractor has been denied for a good long while, and these LLTs, these twin LLTs, are doing a great job of, well, shooting down a whole bunch of the thugs over here, which is quite nice. You know, that is twice the laser firepower that you normally get out of LLTs, but it is also going down slowly but surely here. The brown and orange forces pushing in unison right now. We do have a bunch of Rocketeers up on the high ground firing away at whatever they can. Whole swell of pawns is headed forward. And those thugs aren't going to cut it, I'm afraid. Commander, not on the front to D-gun down or explode and kill all this. Yeah, that's about 100 pawns. Call it closer to 30, really, but still pretty good. It's going to be a mess to clean this up no matter what. Some of those T2 units are efficient enough to deal with this pretty quickly, but nothing out of the T1 era is going to be doing any of that. Look at all these mexes that have been denied down here as well. T2 push on the northern side as those pawns continue to ravage the base of the powder blue commander. We do have the blue and seafoam green as well as the cyan doing wonderfully. We cut back to the powder blue base was in peril, like the old Clone Wars announcer or introductor. Wow, build power stays alive though. Just barely by the skin of Button's 840's teeth. That laboratory does stay alive. But this area up here is really instrumental. This is being harassed now by an agitator that's been set up by Resolvents 123. One agitator versus twin guards, radar, constructor, commander. All this and more just to essentially be killed by a single long-range siege boy for 1,300 metal. Certainly a significant investment, at least for the early game. Once you get into that mid-game, they're much easier to justify, but also once you get into that mid-game, they're sort of unnecessary, so it's going to be a significant cost no matter how you slice it up. Aquia boldly marching forward where no one else has dared to go. The Banisher, happy to take that trade, going to fire away here, down to 69% HP, and that is quite nice here for the green commander at the very least. The pink commander has got to be a little bit worried about the way that the Banisher count and the heavy tank count and the other T2 unit count is growing. AGO set up right next to the laboratory, right where we like to see it, as volatile as possibly it could be. We're going to reclaim it now. Oh! There they are. As if on cue, the bombers make their way across the map, and as soon as that thing finishes up, the T2 laboratory and everything else around it goes up in smoke. My goodness, it's as if the future was sitting there right in front of us waiting to be revealed. Just like that, the Geo pops and everything goes down the drain. Suddenly, the Green Commander is left without T2 constructors, without T2 tech, with barely any of those T2 mexes, and those are under siege at this point. A couple of those T2 units are up and running as well, but my goodness, the bombers have done it. Nizah has found the value. This is looking dangerous as well. We do have some thugs continuing to march forward here. Lots of twin guards. Well, 2 twin guards. Thugs are pretty sturdy. Those twin guards are good. Yeah, ultimately making very short work of these very slow plasma bots marching forward here. I think these thugs probably could kill those twin guards, but with the reinforcing grunts coming out as well, it's going to be kind of expensive. And yeah, ultimately I don't think these really achieved as much as they were hoping for. My goodness, what a swarm of T1 though. If we just trace this all the way back here to the Maroon facility, you can see we're just spamming thugs and some more thugs and some more thugs. Okay, not the end of the world. In fact, pretty good, basically. As long as that T2 isn't out and running, then, yeah, this is going to work pretty well. Bombers coming in. Yeah, they want that bundle of Sheldon there. They are going to hit the commander pretty hard as well. Looping back around. If they can take down these Sheldon, then they can effectively shut down this entire push on this northern side. We have bombs away on this little cluster of LLTs and metal extractors and whatnot as well. A couple of anti-air towers are firing away nicely. Mexes are falling here as these bombers make it into the back line. Do we have air forces? It looks like we do not. Yeah, air was never rebuilt right here for the blue team. Okay. Well, hey, I mean, the bombers, if they're going to be uncontested, they're basically going to... I mean, they're not going to have a hard time finding value here at all. Wind turbines, E-storages, all that good stuff. Do we have an air transition? No air transition here for the blue commander. In fact, not even an anti-air bot has been produced. Someone make figs, cries out the green commander. And yeah, I think I tend to agree. Trying to target down units that are being microed is very difficult with bombers, but it is doable. No fighters available here. My goodness. There we go. Green Commander does eventually get into the air. A couple of fighters have been produced, and bombers still underway. We do have AA towers coming up right now. The blue Commander going into one of those good old-fashioned flak towers. Will be shooting up into the skies if these bombers fly over it. But of course, that's the nice thing about bombers. You can just take them wherever you want. Geothermal will be the next target. Once more going to be bombed down here by the red bombers. My goodness. The value here is unbelievable on these T1 Stormbringer bombers. I was just talking about how inefficient they are compared to the Cortex ones, and here they are making a wonderful name for themselves, blowing apart most of these bases over here. I think with a couple of scouting planes, that could have been even more devastating, but even without, it still was a pretty good hit right here. We do have T2 coming up and running, by the way, for the red commander, being upgraded nicely by the pink commander. I like to see that. Doing a little bit of team working here as the metal extractors are all upgraded and, well, now producing quite a few fighters for the red commander, who is actually E-stalled quite badly here. So many units on this northern side, though. Gamer Guy 69 is actually being swarmed right now by a whole bunch of pawns that have been produced out of the laboratory. Down to 50% HP. 40% HP. Just shy of 30. 20. Going for 10, and boom goes the pink commander as well on the northern side. Just like that, all the comms are removed from the two northern players, and it also means that it's time for T3. Once those commanders are dead, it means you can go into T3 without worry of them being degunned. It means that your pushes, your subsequent pushes, can be a lot slower without fear of being... a lot slower and a lot more cramped together without fear of being, overwhelmed by just a good old-fashioned couple of paralytic bots, maybe some shurikens, something like that, or spy bots, and then a degun from the commander. It's just out of the question. Shuriken doing a good job of trying to shut down some of these thugs over here. Actually, making very efficient work. A little bit of an E-stall right now for Intel does mean that this LOT is barely firing, but barely firing is better than nothing. Fighters, however, not having any of that nonsense. T1 reinforcement's going to clean up some of this here. But an excellent push for thugs. I mean, surprising to see them still finding value, but my goodness, can we go ahead and upgrade to T2, or maybe a couple more energy production structures, some solar panels? I'll take anything at this point. These T1 thugs are so inefficient at this point in the game. Medium tanks serving as a nice armored core here for the Sheldon to use as a platform for continuing to march forward. The yellow commander knows that he's out of space here. Rage is left with nothing left in the tank, essentially. These T1 units, yeah, these T1 buildings are all going to get sacrificed. Frankly speaking, this might look like BM, but I think this is the right move. Getting rid of all this metal so that it doesn't further fuel the blue units from pushing forward. I mean, it sucks, but it is basically the right move here. Essentially no reclaim available for the blue commander to take advantage of, aside from the units that have already been sent forward here. Fiends will start burning through the mexes over on this side, which have been kept alive for a little longer, just to produce as much resource as possible. But they will ultimately be sacrificed as well. Yeah, metal extractors are pretty good. You want to keep them running as long as you can, but now the Sheldon are in the backline, pulling things apart. It's basically now or never. These forces need to move. Sheldon need to start firing. We need to tear this base down. Nicely done by Buttons 840, holding the line for as long as possible in order to make sure that there's time for the northern sweep. And now the Fiends are moving into the backline. They're not going to have too much trouble with these rovers and rascals. Well, you know, I say that. It's actually... it's a bit of a close call because they do push forward so quickly. That's 2 bases down. The blue team is sweeping the northern side. We have a couple of very slow mammoth boys. I like to think of them as kind of like mobile bunkers. They're like bunkers with legs. A third base has fallen. Or at the very least, a backline to a base has fallen. The Fiend's looking very low in HP, though I wouldn't be surprised if these wind turbines accidentally kill a few of them here and there. Metal extractors maybe might do it as well. The red team is tapping out, slowly but surely, one by one. Sheldon tearing apart these main bases as well, and all the reinforcements in the world aren't going to make up for the fact that you can't outrange those Sheldon, and if you can ever get on top of them, then they're always going to trade out more efficiently than you can afford to. T2 Laboratory. Oh, we quit just moments before it was fully killed right there. Alright, well, Welder will manage to get a shot off at least one shot against the Sheldon there. Not sure to what extent it matters, though. So much damage on this side. Salamander's pushing back, and again, if these were T2, if these were a bunch of Fiends, or maybe like 4 or 5 Sumo, this would look great. I think this front line would have fallen. Unfortunately, all we see is death and destruction and loads of T1 units being handed back to the blue team as juicy reclaim. Fighters in the air here as well. The green commander making an excellent air pivot, so these will be shot out of the sky. The red fighters, that is, anyway. The defenders do win. Now the mammoths are here, though. Commander has fallen. Mammoths are blasting away with their heavy lasers, and they are good at it. Mammoths, another one of those units that don't struggle to find value in this game. As long as they're firing at something, they're going to be doing a good job of it. They fire frequently enough that they can deal with spam quite effectively. They fire heavy enough that they can also deal with most threats. And I think with the overwhelming pressure, with constant aggression, and with a slight lead on the northern side, the blue team managed to pry open the hole in the armor and use it to claw themselves into a victory here. Dot takes the lead and wins the golden cow for doing everything, and the blue team managed to claim this game beyond all reason. Thanks a ton for watching, and if you'd like to join the Brightworks community, feel free to like the video to spread it out there onto the internet all over the YouTube etherverse. And feel free to join the Brightworks community by hitting the subscribe button so that you get notified about those videos every single day. Actually, I think you can configure that. I'm not the kind of person who likes getting notified about things all the time, except for sometimes about YouTube videos that I enjoy watching. So if you like that sort of thing too, feel free to tinker with your settings and get that all set up to your preference. You're also more than welcome to join the Discord, which is linked down below and always available. There's also a brand new video that the Beyond a Reason official team has put out, and if you'd like to go check that out, I would definitely recommend it. Showcases a bunch of the lighting technology that they improved recently, and I think it's a blast. But anyways, hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I hope to see you again in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.